So I've gotten requests of taking a look at this Naya commander. So for 1 white, 1 green, 1 red and 2 generic 5 mana, you get a legendary creature Wolf 5/5 with Vigilance, Trample and Ward free. Now whenever this Voja yaws off the Conclave attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control where X is the number of elves you control, then draw a card for each wolf you control. So 3 colors and card draw on the commander is usually always kinda good. 5 mana is quite a lot though. But this will synergize greatly with Elf Ball. The basic game plan would be to have a bunch of elves to ramp this commander into play faster, and when this thing attacks, basically overrun with all of your elves. And then have some wolves in there to basically both have a combat finisher, basically killing your opponents with overrun and drawing a cards at the same time. So 3 colors, value engine and a game plan finisher, everything from the command zone. Looks great so far. Except that wolves in general are quite bad inside this format. So on this YouTube channel we're usually talking about the best of the best possible ways of potentially building a commander. We're also looking into like weaker versions and discussing why they struggle and why something doesn't reach all the way up there. And we also highlight some high power commanders as well, and this is going to fall into that high power category, or something very strong in casual but never truly something that I would recommend that you bring to a tournament. But it actually has a few things going for it, and I do think it could win a game or two in a tournament. I just wouldn't truly recommend it. So first of all, this is a wolf itself, so whenever this attacks, and if it's the only wolf you have, you will still draw 1 card. And honestly, you don't need to draw a huge amount of cards. Like if you're drawing 1 to 3 cards, that's fine. But there is a cool trick to basically solve the wolfy problem here. Changelings that are every creature type. A changeling will both count towards the elf and the wolfy in this case. And some changelings are actually quite good. Not to mention Mask with Nexus that will make every single creature you have in play into a wolf and basically draw cards equal to your creature count whenever this thing attacks, and suddenly it's great. So suddenly you have some ways to truly make this into a card draw engine. At the same time of being that very potential overrun as well, where you basically just put an enormous amount of counters on all of your creatures because you have so many different mana ramping elves that you're threatening the kill with just an enormous creature count in general. But it will still never really get up to a cEDH level still, because a combat game plan is kinda struggling, and truly, even though it sounds pretty fast and consistent, this is going to be very consistent, but it's going to be too slow in comparison to how fast games in general goes in the top tier section of this format. And that is why if you're building this, you should aim for a kinda middle ground. Trying to build it for casual competitive or some high power settings, or even a lower power settings. If you want to go truly casual with this, you should probably build like Elf Tribal that is producing wolf tokens. Going for this kind of strategy, playing lots of changelings, playing lots of elves and trying to just have lots of creatures in general is gonna make it hard for you to include interactions, which means you're gonna struggle dealing with other very strong cEDH combos out there. I just believe that all of those key cards you need to make this roll like it's supposed to do is going to take up too much space inside your deck. Which is another reason why you shouldn't take this to a cEDH table, or why I wouldn't recommend it for tournaments in general. But in casual or some other lower power settings, where everyone is equal to this kind of speed, where everyone is equal to this kind of combat strategy give and take, it is going to perform quite well, I imagine. It is sitting with both trample and ward, which means it's going to protect itself, because this could easily become an arch enemy. Once you slam dunk this and go to attack, your entire board state will grow huge. And everyone could potentially start viewing you as the potential threat, and that's why ward is amazing. The ward for Tivit has already been an extreme showcase example of how good that ability actually is. It just helps you secure your game plan, so to say, because even in casual people are playing spot removal, but they might not want to pay that free more extra mana for it, or might not even be able to. I recommend haste with this commander, making sure you get the value on the same turn you actually cast it. Lightning Greaves, great. I would like to recommend Hall of the Bandit Warlord, a land that can give haste to a creature. Hall of the Bandit Warlord can actually be found with Elvish Reclaimer, which is even an elf in this case. In the end, I kinda like it. It has a Naya color identity, that's good, that's 3 colors. It's a little bit expensive, but you will solve that with some elves. It has a perfect combo finisher, or combo finisher might be the wrong thing, but it has a perfect game plan going forward, basically overrun, making all your tiny 1/1 elves into huge humongous creatures, and a small card draw from itself. If it's the only wolf, you will still draw 1 card at the very least, and then you can have some other card draw engines inside your Naya color identities, as well as potentially making more wolves with efficient tricks. Don't play normal wolves, make creatures that are every creature type, either changelings or just convert creatures into wolves. As a finalized review, it's kinda okay, definitely something for high power level, or a metagame where you're basically left alone to do your cool thing, a metagame where the game are progressing a little bit slower forward, for example. In that kind of environment, this will definitely have its time to be able to shine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys.